Hello, and welcome back to the You Amaze Me recording with myself, Amanda Baker, licensed therapist and yoga instructor, but ultimately an intuitive human here in this shared sacred space where soul meets story and story meets soul. And so today we have a guest with us today. I'm very excited. It's Yordi Abreu, and he is here to discuss a little bit about his story, his business, his brand. Want us to get into sharing just how he and I came to meet because I love the kind of spontaneous meetings that occur in my life and then the people that I get to bring on and have these conversations with. So, welcome, Yordi. Glad you're here.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're so
Thank you,
welcome.
thank you.
Yeah. Do you want to share a little bit about like your version or from your perspective, how we met and kind of what brought us together to get to this point in time today?
Yeah, of course. So I want to say it's been about 2 weeks now, right, since we met?
Yeah, we've only
Yeah,
known
give
each
or take.
other for about 2
Yeah,
weeks.
give or take 2 weeks. And usually that's how things happen with, Flory. When you meet her and she connects you with different people, things happen very, very fast. So let me just take it back. 2 weeks ago, I was doing my friend Flory a favor of picking up Amanda at a train station in New York, so about an hour drive. And on that journey, I got to connect with Amanda, and we had great conversations on the way back. But ultimately, the connection came through a mutual friend.
Yes, yes. And even that mutual friend, right? Flory. So if some of the listeners know, Flory was on my platform here just about a month or so ago. I think I released that recording and even that story of her and I met through a mutual friend. So these links, right? What do we say? There's this saying about like seven degrees of separation.
Yeah,
We're all connected in some way. And so these links of people that are bringing people together that have whether it's similar mindset, similar energy, similar interests, and yeah, just by chance, with Lori and I trying to figure out how I was going to get from Baltimore to Connecticut so that I could be a part of her weekend summit. And you happened to be the person that picked me up from the train station in New York, since there wasn't a more direct way to get to Connecticut. So we had a good like hour, 2 hour. It ended up being a little long
yeah.
drive to just get to know each other.
I think it was phenomenal. I really enjoyed that car ride. Actually, I think about it quite some times now.
Oh, wow.
That we really got to connect. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Then going off that, if you're open to it, what were some of the things I guess that stood out, or maybe that you've reflected back on from the conversation?
Well, it's what really stood out to me is kind of, I guess, through my own experience, the same way it happened with me. The way you just connected with Flory and how we connected with each other.
Mm,
So those connections happen very fast, at least in this environment with her, where she's literally connecting multiple people at the same time, and it feels very natural.
yes.
It doesn't feel forced at all. It comes very natural, and I think like seeing that perspective of like I was in the same position where I didn't know any one of these people, Flory or none of the people she hangs out with, but seeing somebody else go through that, where it's like you're coming from an entirely different state to
Hmm.
meet somebody you really don't even know, and you're kind of just taking a chance,
Hmm.
and then the whole thing just happening very naturally. I think that's what stood out to me because I went through the same thing.
Yes, yes, because then you kind of can pass it on. Then her energy and ways of networking, which she really calls net walking, and that's touched on
Yeah,
in my recording with her, and how genuine and natural it feels, the things that she remembers about you, the way that she sees you, like she just has that sense of being able to see into a person and get a good vibe or feel from them and help and support them in kind of drawing out their natural skills and talents and abilities to kind of help a person shine and
yeah.
and then connect other people that kind of shine in the same way. For I got to hear from you on the car ride there. You're like, you're gonna love it, because I had never attended a weekend with her before, and just hearing your energy or excitement in the way that you spoke about her events that led me to even have that even more excited anticipation on the drive up there, and then having like the most wonderful weekend of feeling so present, so inspired, able to share my meditations and variations of yoga with people and getting really positive feedback that supports that momentum to connect with others and want to build others up in that way. And it seems like she's done that for you as well.
Yeah. Actually, going back to what you said about her, she can read people very, very well. And I like to think of Flora as like the central connection, or at least the pinnacle of what human connection should be.
Oh,
Connecting one person to another. And I can just imagine her contact list, but the way she goes about this is like insanely well. She does it very, very well. And everyone I've brought like to her, because I was actually introduced to her by a friend of mine.
okay.
Um, Everyone that is introduced to her says the exact same thing about her. She is an incredible human being. Incredible, 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 incredible. And there's literally that might be an understatement, actually.
Sure.
Incredible might
Right.
be an
Right. What are bigger,
understatement.
better words?
Yeah. So it's like every time somebody meets this woman, it's like they're blown out of their mind. They feel at home. Her energy is so welcoming. You don't feel left out. She's always connecting you to some sort of opportunity. And I think that's the way humans should be connecting nowadays.
Yes. Yes. Just in that really genuine, authentic flow like state.
Exactly.
And that's the work that she does, really this combination of being a past mathematician, but then also really into this energy manifestation, mindfulness based work that exists in all of us, right? The logical, intellectual, more rational side of self, but then also the more creative, artistic, emotional, intuitive side of self. And when you embody those together, I think Flory really encapsulates that. I hope she
Yeah.
listens to this because she's just going to hear like two of these like people really boasting her up. But it's truthful. It's so truthful. And so, yeah, as we're talking about her, I'm just going to plug in for people who haven't watched that recording on synchronicity is the part of the title with Flory. Treat us. Am I saying her last
So I
name
think so. High
correctly?
tribes, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, they'll find it. But her business is Awe, so AWE, A wakened, like awakened, but A wakened events. So we kudos to her for bringing us together.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'd love to hear more about your story, especially with your business. If you want to take us back to kind of one, if you can share just one, because you're young, right? How young you are. So share about like your age, and then take us back to how you got started.
Okay, yeah, for sure. Let's do it. Currently, I'm 20 years old. I've been running a fashion brand for the last almost 3 years now. It's coming up on 3 years next month. And I started when I was 17. I was a senior in high school. Um, and really, what inspired me to get started was kind of like this gnawing feeling of like, what am I going to do with my life?
Mm-hmm.
Especially in those crucial years, junior, senior year of high school, where it's like, life starts to branch out in many different ways and everyone literally takes different paths. But growing up, I don't want to say conditioned, but the expectation was to go to college.
Sure.
Um, and
Hmm.
as that time, the time was shortening, for my decision, I started to feel like maybe college actually wasn't for me, and I was doing it to please the people around me, right?
Hmm. I get it.
So I had or I still have my best friend. He was feeling the exact same way, actually. His parents were under the impression that he was going to go to school, but deep down, he knew that that's not really what he wanted to do. Um, and my parents were kind of sensing the vibe of me not wanting to go to school, or at least like pursuing a collegiate education, my dad started implanting ideas in me like, hey, maybe I should start something online. Maybe I should start selling clothes, throwing ideas out there. And I was like, okay, well, I started brainstorming a lot. And at the time, I was actually doing a side hustle. I was reselling sneakers and clothes. So
Oh,
that's
okay.
what I was,
Cool.
yeah, that's what I was doing at first, just on the side, nothing serious. I believe I had just gotten out of my first job not too long before that.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, back to the story. I pitched to my best friend because I knew he was very talented. He's very creatively talented. He's very artsy, loves to draw, paint, stuff like that. So I was like, okay, well, I'm not very creative in those ways, but I know he is. But I'm very good at putting pieces to a puzzle together. That's what
Cool.
I'm really good at.
Okay.
So I'm
Nice.
like, okay, well, before even seeing the whole picture, I kind of just felt it inside of me like I could get this done. I just
Mhm.
didn't know how I was going to get it done. So I pitched the idea to him like, hey, what do you think if we start a clothing line of our own? You can be the designer. I can be like the business type dude, figuring the back end stuff. And let's just see where it takes us. So yeah, that's how we really got started.
That's incredible. And taking two different, not necessarily different, but two skill sets, what he had, what you had, bridging them together, you having
Exactly.
some vision, not knowing how it's going to happen. And we don't need to know how. And I think that's a lot of the societal pressure and even maybe parental pressure, family pressure that we get of that we need to know the steps or that you have to follow a specific blueprint of you go to elementary, middle, high school, graduate, go to college, pick a major, get a good job, right? As if we typically hear, oh, the stable, secure, good jobs are
Yeah.
for those who have a college degree or a certain certificate or licensure. And I've really myself have come to question a lot of these things. I mean, I've already gone to college and graduate school. I have a license, but even a lot of the work that I'm doing now, I think can't be or wasn't taught in school. It's something that is a part of me that got fostered through experience. And then the education was just kind of a helping stepping stone, and not everybody needs to follow that path. And so you listened to something within yourself and didn't have to spend the thousands and thousands of dollars on school per se. I'm not saying that's not for people. Some people that might be their path. But hearing that you listened to yours, had a friend that you saw something in this friend that could fit your vision, pitched the idea, and it seemed like it came together from that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you worded that perfectly, actually.
Well, thank you.
A lot of people believe that you have to follow these societal structures or predetermined paths, and I think that's it's almost like putting yourself in a box.
In a box. Yep, I say that. And the people I work with as a mental health therapist who come to me because they have symptoms of mental health disorders, sometimes those symptoms in and of itself is I feel trapped. I feel stuck.
Yes.
And that's partly because of the years and years and years of feeling forced, maybe not even aware that they were pressured or had fallen into the box that they feel confined by. But we're really not stuck. We really do have choice. You can come out of the box if you've been feeling like you're stuck in the box, but you also don't have to go in the box in the first place. And
The
so,
way I like to think of it is whatever you decide to do, whatever path you decide to take, ultimately it is painful. And what I mean by that is if you're growing as an individual, if you're trying to do something new, if you're getting started on, whatever it is,
mhm,
ultimately there will be discomfort because you're new at something, right? Same way as if you get complacent or you stop growing and you're not on a decline, you kind of start to feel like you're stuck, right? That's also painful. Same way, if you're on a decline, that's also very painful. So regardless of what you do, there will be discomfort and pain. You just have to choose what you decide is worth suffering for.
Oh, that's beautiful. You said that so beautifully. I mean, such wisdom in that in I'm gonna say, I don't know if you get this a lot in such a young age,
Yeah,
but I think it puts you in such a advantage to already view life in that way. And I think I'm so glad that that's being said here, because I want more children to get that early on, like to hear that from other adults in their life, from mentors, teachers, parents, the reality that there is hardships, challenging, suffering in life, and to choose your suffering or to choose your challenge and choose the one that is most worth it to you, because it's you will have the resilience or you will have the courage to do it, especially when you know it's aligned with something that you're really passionate about.
I totally agree. Yeah, it sounds very simple, in hindsight, but what people don't understand is that pain is actually, it's not about what you acquire necessarily in whatever it is that you want to do or accomplish in your life, but it's more so about the person you become
Mm,
in that journey of acquiring whatever it is that you want.
yeah,
So I think that's ultimately more important than, those hardships or those struggles and that pain that you feel. It's almost like taking a step back and looking at the bigger picture. It's like,
mm,
okay, like when you're in those moments of difficulty, it's very hard to see outside of that.
for sure. Yes.
Very difficult to see outside of that. Um, but if you just have that emotional intelligence to take a step back and really take a glance at the bigger picture, you start to realize how necessary those moments actually are.
Yes. And if you can do that both, right? When you're in it, like you said, it's really hard, but practicing emotional intelligence skill sets too. And most don't get that at a young age. It's another thing that I wish was a part of school and upbringing, is this the learning and the experience to enhance emotional intelligence of just one's awareness and identification of how you're feeling of, okay, I'm feeling a lot of pain right now, and in this moment, can I pause and take a look at the bigger picture? What is this leading me to? And later on, right, when you've become more of whoever you are becoming through that, to even look back and recognize, those hardships, that pain was valuable. It taught me something, or it was worth it. And that's what I hear you say.
Yeah. So I was actually speaking to a friend last night. Because we were actually just at Flores. I just came from Flores.
Oh, even
Eh,
even today?
yeah, 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 yeah. I just came back an hour ago
Oh
from
my
her house.
god! Look at that.
Yeah. So I was with a friend last night there, and we were having a conversation essentially about hardship and where this individual is at in his entrepreneurial journey.
Okay.
And I was telling him that I'm further along on my journey than he is,
Mhm.
but the pain is still the same. A lot of people think that the farther you are along where you want to go, it somehow gets easier, but it actually doesn't. Um, like a lot of people believe that money solves their issues, but money only solves money problems. It doesn't solve
Mhm.
your emotional needs, doesn't
Mhm.
solve your relationships. There's a lot of things that people have misconceptions about. And yeah, just going back to what I was saying, we were just having that conversation, and I was telling him, like, listen, I'm at the point where you want to be, but I'm still going through the same cycle of challenges and pain, and I don't think that actually ever really goes away.
And that's another thing I think of, acceptance of life's challenges and one's capacity for it, right? Because if the same two people can be going through the same pain, but if one person is more open and accepting of it, they're going to better manage it, move through it, continue to go on or pursue, or stay present and continue forward. Whereas someone else who might be experiencing that same level of pain, but has a totally different mindset or a different emotional capacity within themselves, where they might give up, they might fall into deeper levels of depression or stress or substance use or more destructive types of behaviors. And that really comes from one's perception of the pain and one's capacity around that pain.
I think ultimately having a optimistic perception is actually what's propelled me to achieve so much at a young age. Um, Especially like when I talk to my peers and what you're saying, like, two people can be going through the same thing and it's really all perception and mentality.
Hmm.
Um, and actually Marla, the person we were in the car ride with when we went to go get you, she recently told me something that I'm going to use for the rest of my life.
Oh, and
She
what's that?
was like, when you're going through those moments, those challenges, when you're going maybe even through a season of challenge, right? The only way out is through.
Through.
There's no way around. There's literally no way around it, and like
You got to
except
feel
for
it.
through.
Yes. Yeah. So the mindset and your perspective of it along, right? Having that optimism and that willingness that it's not going to kill you and that you can feel it and that you're going to be okay. So yes, that's
Yes,
that through. And shout out to Marla. Yordi, I don't know if you know this, but Marla's actually now my intern. So
really.
another connection from meeting the two of you in the car through Flory. Marla is a psychology student, right, at the University of UConn. And I was a psychology major. I'm a mental health therapist. And so she's helping me out with some admin stuff and getting to shadow my work and just the way that we can all support each other. And right, and this isn't about the financial means. Like you said, the money is not going to solve the problem. It's the connections that we're getting that's so fulfilling and wholesome. I think in the ways that we can then support each other through our shared challenges of life and our work.
I've also come to the realization recently that having an ecosystem of people like Flory and like us who can support each other, who we can lean on, who understand each other, not even just on an emotional level, but even our personalities, right?
Yes.
Like being there is almost as close as you'll get to a magical place. It's as close as you'll get to a magical place because it really is back to what I was saying, like your environment is so I didn't know how crucial it was, is
Mm,
what I'm trying to get at. I didn't know how crucial it was until I got in an ecosystem like this,
like that.
where
Yeah.
it really shows me what it's like to be in a utopia, basically.
Yes, and that's possible here on Earth, right? Like
Yes.
she created
Yes.
it from scratch, and so anyone can create it from scratch. Yes, and
Yes.
we're
Yes.
spreading
Yes.
it,
Yes.
taking some of her magic and light, the pieces that we get from being around her, and then spreading it so that that has that ripple effect even more.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Going back to just that human connection point, I think at this point, just being exposed to this, it's almost like it's now our responsibility to keep shedding that light for others, because we live in such dark times.
Yes. Yeah, it's purpose, and it's a greater purpose than just, oh, I'm here to spread this message or win this award or make this money or sell these clothes, right? The purpose is taking that and spreading it. It feels bigger than you. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I wanted to relate this kind of back to my clothing line because I
Yes.
only really spoke about how we got started, but now we're trying to implement a message. We're at this point it's no longer just about clothes and making money or whatever. Those are byproducts of what we do,
Hmm.
but it's more so of pushing a message. So the reason we actually decided to go and move forward with the creation of the brand is
Hmm.
actually to inspire the lost youth. That's what we call it. Essentially individuals who are in similar positions that we were once in. You know what I'm saying? You're in a mix of you've got your friends who are going off to college, you have others going off to the military, you have others pursuing their passions. But where does that leave you? Right? Maybe you don't fit into any one of those boxes as we call it. And it's like at what point what do you do? I had a supporting cast. I had a family that supported my decision, but others may not have
Mhm.
that.
Right. Yeah, they may
Right?
not.
So it's like, what can we do for those types of individuals? So that's the bigger picture and the bigger purpose of our brand.
I love that. I love that. And so Yordi, what's your brand called? I'm going to share that for.
So my brand is called E-Star Garments. Before it used to be called Enter and Star, and we
Okay,
had like a whole thing going on with the name, but we decided to rebrand.
cool. I'm going to share, you sent me the website. I took a look at it before we met, but then I have it up here now so I can even share for those who are potentially watching. So we'll go, I'm going to get stuff, so I'll end up getting that 10% off at some point. But yeah, your site is incredible. Is it showing up for us on the screen?
Yeah, 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 I can see it on my end.
Yeah, so I mean right away just the colors, the creativity, the visual stimuli, I think that can draw people in. And just clicking some things here so people can get a feel for what some of this looks like, but really hearing that message, right? When people wear this or they're supporting themselves, supporting you in this shared message for, you called them, I think you said the lost youth, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, this hat's really cool.
So
Yeah,
right
anything,
now our objective,
go ahead.
I'm sorry to cut you off. Our objective is kind of just to show people or push the limits of artistic expression through clothes. A lot of our clothes is very loud, it grabs a lot of attention, a lot of colors going on, but that's purposeful.
Yes, it is.
We want specific individuals to express art, which is subjective. It could be, you can relate art to anything, but specifically through clothes. Now that is my partner's vision. My vision on a bigger global scale is, like I said, trying to figure out a way that we can impact the youth, not just through clothes but through other artistic expressions.
Yeah, so much can come from this as it continues to unfold and inspire branching, right? Like you said, just the clothes that you can promote creativity and inspire others in that way. Really awesome. I love the website, the designs, the message that's here. I'm curious. You already did, we've talked a little bit about like pain, and if you feel open and comfortable to share like what some of your pain points have been for this process. I'm also wondering, which relates, have you experienced like fear? Was there fear initially? Is there still some fear going on? And how that might relate at all to the pain points that you touched on too.
Well, the quickest example I can give you was that I want to say the bridge between graduating high school and entering the real world. There
Mm-hmm.
was a lot of fear in that time of my life because the path I was taking, entrepreneurship, is an uncertain one.
Mm-hmm.
There are no guarantees. It relies on me and the work I put in. And I like to tell people that your business is a reflection of you. So it was really all not just up to me. Obviously, my partner was a factor in that, but ultimately knowing that like there is no backup plan, there is no other way out of this that I at least I was seeing at that point in my life. Um, there was an immense amount of fear, yes, and also like, go ahead.
It sounds like it was a risk, right? If you're saying
Yes,
there's no backup plan, so it's that
yes,
leap of faith and having some trust with that in the unknown.
yes.
Hmm.
Ultimately, yes, it was trusting into the unknown, but also just like the idea in the back of my mind that I didn't want to let my parents down just because I also didn't take the route they wanted me to initially take.
Yes,
So it was some pressure involved for sure. Um, but yes, at that specific time in my life, yes, there was an insane amount of fear.
makes sense. And I think that's important to self disclose and also show for others, because I imagine so many will have fear. And it's so often that fear is so paralyzing of what holds people back. They feel fearful and they're like, so no, I can't take this step. I can't take this action. I can't go all in and risk the potential of disappointing my family or losing money, the feeling of failure. But those, I think, go along with the challenge of life and the pain, that if those things happen, we also can redeem ourselves and come up from that. But also, if you don't even take the risk at all, then you don't even know if it will work, if it will be successful.
Exactly. I'd like to touch a little bit on what you just said in terms of people not taking that,
Hmm.
basically that leap of faith.
Hmm.
And whatever it is, for some people, it's starting that business idea they have. For others, it's getting into the gym or writing a book, whatever it may be, or even starting a YouTube channel. Um, a lot of people are waiting to get ready before they're ready. And that is literally what is keeping most people behind. They're waiting to get ready. They're waiting to feel ready so that they can get ready.
Yeah,
And essentially that never comes. You actually feel ready by just doing it.
by just doing it. Yeah, that's again bringing Flory back, because she talks a lot about uh, Esther Hicks, Abraham Hicks, and that's something that I don't know if you heard that
No,
about
I
readiness
haven't.
from Abraham Hicks or not. But a lot of the quotes or even language of affirmations that are used is, you are ready to be ready. Like once you just tell yourself, kind of like you're saying, they're waiting to be ready to be ready, but the readiness is in doing it. And so right in there, tricking your mind to say, I am ready to be ready. So I'm going to take the steps in the action.
It's literally implying when you tell yourself that you're not ready or you feel like you're not ready, you're literally implying that you're just not enough. What you have is not enough. And that was also one of the things that I've been personally struggling with. For a long time, and the idea has never left my mind. It just keeps clawing at me every single day.
Oh, yes.
Um, is like I wanted to start content creation. I wanted to start a YouTube channel. I wanted to document my life, but there was always an excuse. It's like, you know what, I don't have this yet. Once I get this, I'll start. Then that would come. Then all of a sudden, the goalpost is now even farther, and I keep waiting to feel ready in order to get ready, and it just never came until I finally sat with myself and came to the realization that what I have is enough, and I have to start with what I have, with what I know, with where I'm at.
Yes.
And that's literally it. So that's just taking that leap forward, specifically in this area of my life, has been a game changer. And I finally got to do the thing that I've always wanted to do. And, it's kind of like I feel like the weight has been released.
And it sounds like too that you've acknowledged that there can be pain, there can be fear, there can be the belief that you're not enough, and you're still living life with that. It's not that you did all of these things in order
And I
to get
solved
rid of
it.
those. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That goes back to my previous point where it's like money can only solve money problems. And even having the knowledge and these different perspectives on these challenges, like I still go through this stuff. Like it's not like I solved it immediately, because as you level up in life and you evolve, these challenges arise in different ways that you're just not accustomed to. It's something new. So you have to re-navigate yourself.
Yes. Yes. And I think for many who actually like novelty, if we can start to shift it of like, there's going to be new challenges, and that can be exciting while also scary. Like you can have the both. You can have the fun, the joy in the business and the work that you're doing. It sounds like that's also very fulfilling, and encouraging people to still do and act and believe even with the fear, the pain, the negative beliefs that might still be there, and that you're evolving and showing up in new ways. Yeah.
Yeah, and this also goes hand in hand with that conversation I was having with my friend last night. More specifically, I was telling him like, yes, I'm farther along in the journey, but even with the success that the brand has had, I still feel those same emotions, those doubts, those days where I'm like, am I even like doing this correctly? Like, am I even really even supposed to be doing this? Is this gonna work out for me?
Hmm.
Like, there's so many uncertainties. There's so many things you feel, and it just goes back to having that emotional intelligence. There's no real way to solve it other than knowing what's happening when it is happening, and just kind of like, I don't want to say waiting until it goes away, but mellowing it out.
Mellowing it out. So, do you have any suggestions then for some people who might be like, okay, have emotional intelligence, feel through it. The only way out is through. What are some things that then you do in those moments to mellow out? What helps you mellow out or move through the feeling or experience when it's showing up?
I need a moment to think about this.
Take your time. That can be one of the things that people do. It's just pause, quiet, and stillness.
One of the things that has helped me, um, actually within the last few months, to get out of those moments of stress
Hmm.
or uncertainties, and I don't want to say escape those emotions because they're going to express themselves through one way or another, but
Yes,
to really mellow it out, just a lot of self-reflection, um, and very to no stimuli. So for me, I like to just go on walks, no music, no headphones, just me and my thoughts. I'll go for like an hour and a half, and I'll self-reflect, and that has been one of the things that has helped me mellow out those emotions very quickly. Not as fast as I'd like, but faster than most people.
I see. Yes. And everyone's going to have their own pace in terms of, like you said, it's faster than most people. While also you might be, this is a guess because I don't have all the answers, to like fastening the process is, you're going on a walk to move through the emotion, so you're reducing the stimuli. You're out in nature, and nature is its own medicine. But if we're talking on the phone even, or maybe you're running really fast and not paying attention to the surroundings or feeling the air or your feet on the ground, if you're distracted by a podcast or music, you're not really experiencing the wholeness of the emotion you're going through, the thought you might be struggling with. So there is such value in being completely in that natural state, because I truly believe that the elements of the sun, the air, the earth and the ground, the smoke or the fire, the spaciousness is what brings us back to our equilibrium, into that center spot. And so by you doing it, I think that's very valuable, and it sounds like it works for you, but also for others to consider that sometimes these simple things that might not feel simple when you're in it. But even when I've been guests on podcasts and someone has asked me, "Oh, Amanda, what's something someone can do when they're in a stressful state or they're triggered?" And my go-to is breathe. Like, it's not like you need to go necessarily and get the prescription or pay all this money to something. Sometimes that's necessary too, but to simply start out by breathing or going for a walk, completely natural, um, are just things that some of us have lost so much access to because of the fast pacedness of our world, or the quick fixes that people are trying
Yes,
to sell.
yes, yes, yes. People often believe or think that there's like some sort of secret method or some sort of secret hack that you need to be doing. The secret is in the simplicity of the things that draw you back to yourself. That's the secret.
Yes.
Um, One of the things I've actually been trying to incorporate more in my life is breath work,
Mm.
especially in those moments where I'm very anxious, I'm very worried. I take a pause, I do 3 sets of 3 deep breaths, and that literally calms me down so fast. So it's having those small techniques of just the breath work, going on a walk with no stimuli, really brings me back very quickly.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. I hope people take this in. It takes repetition, so accumulating and consistency of doing it regularly. So to persevere through those challenges with these supports, and knowing other people are there for you too. Um, so I'm glad we touched on this. I
Yes, yes,
Another
yes, yes.
question for you is, you shared kind of the idea of this, pitching it, having a partner, someone who shares this vision with you, kind of working together. How did you get from the idea to the implementation? So I'm sure there's, and you don't have to go through every step, but I'm sure you needed to find like a manufacturer, you needed to build a website. There's a lot of these steps. And so what might be one or two things that you would encourage someone who has an idea but is kind of lost on like the next thing, even if it's just the first step?
Well, the first step is having the idea. I think
Yes.
the second step is acting upon that idea, whether it's doing research, whether it's literally just getting a website going.
Okay.
Um, the implementation part, there's many ways to go about it. And I'm actually glad you brought this up because I'm in the process of creating an entire course for free on literally step by step with blueprints, how to do what I'm doing, and literally the systems and things I've done to achieve the level of success that I've had. Um, so if you're watching, you're listening to this, it's coming very, very soon. I anticipate, hopefully, this month or next month, for anyone who's looking to begin their clothing line or anything of that sort. And it doesn't even have to be clothing line. You can use the information to branch off into different aspects of business because it all falls under the same umbrella.
Yes.
But to
Awesome.
answer your question, I think it's the very first step is just research. Know what you're getting yourself into. Start to educate yourself. I think self education is very important.
Hmm.
And I do think that's the first step. Once you have some sort of base knowledge, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to spend 30 hours researching, nothing like that. There's a lot of videos online, specifically what people refer to as YouTube University, where
Yes.
there's like an hour, 2 hours of a breakdown on something, and you'll literally get the whole foundation. So you don't have to break your head too much,
Right.
but you take that path, you start educating yourself in whatever it is, um, and from there, just taking action. At that point, it's really more of like a self thing than it is like an external thing, really.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. I'm here two kind of important parts with that is educating yourself, doing some of the research, watching videos. So sitting and taking the time, right? Like it's not, you're not completely bypassing school by not going to college to pursue something in a tech field or entrepreneurship or creating a brand or clothing or a book or whatever. They're still learning, this
Yes.
lifelong learning. And so still educating yourself. And then the other piece is that inner work that you're saying. Like you need to take time to self reflect. You need to know what uh, blocks or barriers or what box you might feel stuck in to kind of help one get out to then take action. And I'm noticing myself wanting to add in there, like take action and be willing for it, that action to not work. And that might just like pivot you to taking action in another way while still pursuing the vision. You might have to trial and error some things too.
Yeah, for sure. Like I had previously mentioned, your business is a reflection of you, and that's not just even in business. I mean, that's more of a life thing as well. Whether you're an artist, whether you make music, whatever field of work that you do, your work is reflected upon you. It's literally a mirror staring right back at you. So it's not so much about, the different marketplaces that there are, the different industries, the various of businesses you can do. It's also much more of your inner work than
Mhm.
it is anything else, especially in times like this where information is everywhere. AI, there is no shortage of information. There is a shortage of people who are working on themselves to make these things work.
Yes, yes. And and because of that saying, right, your business is you, there are businesses where you have really no clue who's behind it. And I don't think those businesses are as personable, as connecting uh, as what you're doing and what you're promoting for people to create. That it's important to know who's behind the brand. for me and my brand, I like to say that I am the brand. Even though it's called You Amaze Me, it's like really all Amanda. It's my poetry, my yoga, um, the community and groups, the mental health, like all in one. And when people see that and get to know the person behind it and your passion for it and your message, I think that's what makes something really last and really shine and really credible. And so
That's
even
what really separates people,
it
I'd
does.
say. That's the separation.
That's the separation.
Um, Having that, it's part of actually influence too. If you look at the framework for influence, one of those pillars for influencing other people is how relatable you are.
Mhm.
So the more authentic and relatable you are, the closer of a connection you'll feel to your audience. So yes, I totally agree with when you say like your brand is essentially you. You embody them.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Even if it's a different name for it, it's still you embody the brand, and that's shown in yours. So I think with this course, which is also amazing, and I'll make sure if whenever this comes out and whenever your course comes out, I'll add it to the comments in the show notes. Like I'll put it in there even later if this comes out before your course. I'm happy to share it with my like email list as well with the listeners so that they get the reminder of like here it is. Does it have a name yet?
Yes, so it's called eStar Academia. That's the official name at this point. Yeah.
Awesome. eStar Academia. So people remember that. It's going to be super, super helpful and useful. Well, awesome. Well, Yordi, do you have any questions or anything for me or anything else that you wanted to make sure that you wanted to talk?
Yeah, so I wanted to actually get know more about you, and how you started, and maybe some of your fears, or what your journey has looked like up until this point.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for asking. Yeah, I've been a mental health therapist for over 10 years. I knew I always wanted to do counseling and therapy. So I went to college for psychology. And honestly, looking back, I didn't think there was any other choice but college. That was what my parents talked about. My parents both didn't finish college, they attended and then left. And I think, unbeknownst to me, unconsciously to me, it was, well, then I was only child, so Amanda's definitely going to finish college. I didn't have any other thoughts that there was even another option. All my friends were going to school. It was a big thing. What college are you going to? Where'd you get into? Most people from my high school graduated and went to college. And I don't regret it. Loved psychology as a major. In order to be a therapist, you need to go to grad school. So I just continued to pursue that. Got into therapy, did that for several years, always had been into yoga. Yoga was something I did on the side. And just coinciding when I finished grad school, I thought, maybe I'll try a yoga teacher training, not to teach, just because I really loved it. And then by going through the training, that led me around the time of COVID hit to consider actually teaching. So I was approached by a studio owner who wanted me to teach yoga at her studio during COVID. So it wasn't going to be in front of everyone. It was just going to be virtual, like on video. So I felt like I can do that. I've always had this fear of public speaking. So it's kind of funny that I do a lot of public speaking now because I was terrified of it. I would rehearse everything, even my yoga classes when I was teaching them early on. I'd had the whole script. I knew everything I was going to say, everything was planned. And then over time, as I started to do it more, I got a lot more comfortable with it. I got a lot of positive feedback. I was making connections with people who liked my style of yoga because I was adding in therapeutic language and therapeutic ideas from what I knew from mental health and the therapy world. And then I created what is called therapeutic yoga. And so I did another training within yoga psychology, and I loved it. It didn't feel like work to me at all. And people started approaching me in those classes about one-on-ones. So that's when I got into offering yoga-based therapy, more mindfulness meditation, and that opened me up to the whole world of tuning into your intuition, trusting kind of an energy in the universe. And I really no longer planned what I was doing. I like just had this newfound confidence and like my own inner work on reflecting on what is it that I am so afraid of or feeling boxed in on, Because for a while it was, oh, I can't teach my classes this way. I have to follow the training. And then as I started branching out and really being more authentic, I developed stronger connections. I developed a greater audience. During the teacher training, I started writing poetry. So the teacher training required you to write every night. And when I was writing, that came out as poetry. And I didn't plan for that, but it reminded me that I used to write poetry as a kid. So I would write like lyrics. I loved music at around like age 7. And I did that maybe up until like early teens. And then I stopped. And I think I stopped because of school. I felt like that was the priority. My grades, I was a like perfectionistic student in college. And so to get back into poetry during the yoga teacher training and start incorporating in creativity again and like remembering really who I am. So I think I almost around your age, Yordi, from like 17 to late 20s, I feel like I kind of lost myself, that I was just doing what I'm supposed to do,
Yeah.
as opposed to really like who I am. And so I'm so grateful for the yoga teacher training because I really credit it to that, to bringing me back to poetry, to movement, yoga. I used to dance when I was a kid too, and being able to incorporate that or integrate that into helping people with whether it's their mental health or just their overall well-being. And so during COVID too, with writing my poetry, I decided to share it online, made an Instagram page, and I started signing off the Instagram page with "You Amaze Me." Just one day I thought of it and I was like, that's cool. That's a cool tagline at the end. I didn't think it was going to stick. And I just started doing it every time. It really stuck. Other people started to gravitate to it. They would comment saying that. People would see me saying that. And so that kind of became like my brand, where I developed shirts out of it, and just had people say it. That's how this recording came about. So, so much came about spontaneously once I started letting go of the pressure and the conditioning and really being more of myself, just more synchronicities, more assurance and confirmation, that I can be myself in like all areas of life, that I don't have to change who I am in my professional stance or in my family or friendship or when I'm by myself, that I want to show all of that and have that be what connects me to other people and inspire other people to do the same.
So I wanted to ask,
Yeah.
at any point in your journey, did you know the next 3 steps?
No. And
I just
that's
needed some confirmation there.
yes. And that's what, when I went to school, right? When I was graduated, I knew the next 3 steps. I'm going to go for psychology and I'm going to get good grades. I'm going to graduate and then I'll go to grad school. I'll take my license exam and then I'll get a job, right? I knew every step. And once I let go, not realizing I was fully even letting go when I did the yoga teacher training, because that wasn't for a job, that was for fun.
Mhm.
And then
Yeah.
my fun has gotten to become what I do. And I don't call it work. It's like play. I know that I'm worthy of also making compensation so I can still live and survive and have an income. Not even survive. It's like freeing, um, to know that you can do this and be compensated. And so, yeah, I had no idea that I would ever be here doing recordings. And I was one who was terrified of speaking in front of other people, not planning what I'm even saying.
Yeah.
And yeah, none of that. It's still my next 3 steps from here, not
No
planned.
idea.
No idea.
Yeah. And it's ironic because the best things in our lives usually come from not knowing what's next.
I agree.
Right? Like, even on my journey at this point, I still don't know what my next few steps are. I'm kind of just, I've accepted that whatever is next. And, if it's for me, it's for me. And if it's not, then it's not.
Hmm.
And it's ironic because a lot of people try to plan their lives out or, take this predetermined path, but it's like the way to find yourself is actually getting lost.
Oh,
Like,
yes.
it's kind of counterintuitive, but that's really what it is. Like, and what can
Yeah.
I say?
I agree. And I love that you say that because it brings me back to a childhood memory of mine when I was 5, 6. I could ride a bike. So maybe like a two-wheeler bike, maybe 6 or 7. And my friends and I, we would go out and play. And a lot of kids, even nowadays, don't play outside. People don't feel like it's safe for them to be alone at that, not alone, but with their friends, unsupervised by an adult, riding their bikes down the street far away, not knowing where their kids are per se. It was safe then. I wish it was still that way more so now. And we would play this game of like, let's go get lost on purpose. There was like fun in getting lost. Let's ride our bike, not know where we're going. We'd like set our watch and we'd be like, okay, but we do need to figure out how to get back home in the next 2 hours. So we're going to be mindful of that. But it was so fun to like, I don't know where we're riding our bikes to and what we're going to see and what's going to be the way back. And I think bringing that back now as adults, or hopefully for some never losing that sense of that sometimes the best way to come to your next thing is to get lost,
The
is to
best
be.
path is the unknown one.
Yes. Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's just how the way things are. And I'd like to touch on what you said regarding everything you mentioned in terms of childhood. I think going back to your roots in childhood is very important, especially as an adult, because we tend to forget that the things we actually gravitated towards in the beginning of our lives, and we kind of get lost in this world and all of its problems, and we stray away from the things that truly fulfill us and make us happy. So I think going back to our roots is very, very essential and important.
I do too. So glad you said that. We have a lot of the same, I think, perspectives and statements that are really worth people hearing and us emphasizing. And coming from you with that wisdom, I think just continues to spread that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't have any more questions. If you have some for me, I'd love to answer them.
Thank you, and I appreciate you asking me about myself. So I tend to have my guest on here pick an oracle card. Are you open
Okay.
to doing that?
Yeah. So can
Yeah.
you teach me a little bit about this, or I'm unaware?
I was just going to ask, have you ever pulled an oracle card? Do you know what they are? So oracle cards, they're different. Are you familiar with tarot? Have you heard of like the tarot
I've
cards that say?
heard of it, but I'm still like I've never got into that realm, so I'm really unaware.
Sure. And even how I might share it might be different than some of the mainstream, or how someone else might, and not everybody uses it. Like some of the psychics that Flory brings in, they don't all use tarot or oracle cards. I think when I met with one at the weekend summit, we did use oracle cards. But tarot sometimes is used by people to predict the future. That's kind of the more mainstream way of looking at it. There's several cards in a deck. There's the major arcana, the minor arcana. The major arcana kind of tells a story, and that's what I like about it. It's called the hero's journey. And essentially, in the tarot, the hero's journey is you start out as the fool. So you're very naive, you're taking a leap of faith that kind of goes along with your perceptions of things, and you experience all these hardships and challenges, hopefully coming all the way to the end to become the queen of cups and become the king of cups. And there's different ones, there's swords, there's a lot to it. But it tells this story, and for the person who's using it to read it, it's each card has a meaning, but it's also about like your own interpretation, what stands out to you from your psyche, because that's going to be most relevant to your life right now. So tarot's a little bit more though of making decisions, listening to yourself, but something coming out from the card, maybe about the future. Whereas oracle is more just like a message in the moment. And so it could be that it's emphasizing something. It has like a theme. A lot of the cards have a word on them. And so I like to use them to really emphasize something in the moment, just based on the word or the message that pops up, and also whatever might come up from it for you. So usually it can be reassurance or a new perspective, something to take with you and consider after a conversation, through your day, through your week. Does
Yeah.
that make
All
sense?
right. I'm totally ready. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I just want to know, is there anything that you need me to do? Is there anything I have to do on my part?
So I'm going to name a couple decks for you. So what we're doing is utilizing like your energy and intuition to kind of guide you to the deck that we'll use, and then I'll open up the box, I'll shuffle the cards, and then you'll tell me when to stop. So there's something like what you're doing is something energetically on the random card that you're going to pick, and then that will be the one that we'll take the message from.
Okay. Yeah, let's do it.
I will name like 3 decks. I have a bunch. Let's see. I have an animal spirit deck. I have a, what's another fun one? Okay, yeah. Animal spirit deck. I have a moon oracle deck. So it's kind of like witchy about the moon. And then I have an herbal astrology one. So what stands out from those 3?
I'm gonna say animal.
Animal. So I think the last 2 people that I've recorded with also picked the animal one. So it seems to be popular. So yeah, it looks like this animal spirit. And then I will open it. It also has a booklet that helps you know and understand the meaning, but also we can take what based on whatever animal comes, if there's anything that comes up for you from the actual animal. So I will shuffle, and then you just tell me when you feel like we've landed on your card. Okay, so then I'm going to ask you right or left hand.
My left or your left?
My left.
I'm feeling your right hand.
Okay, right, that's this side. And then top or bottom. All right, we have owl. So I'm pretty sure the person that I recorded with before that I haven't released their episode yet also got owl. So sometimes there's connective like meaning. When I used to use the cards a lot more frequently, like daily for myself, I would sometimes happen to, you shuffle and there's like 60 some cards in there, and I would happen to pick the same card over and over. And I just take that as in like, okay, there's something about this that's important to pay attention to. And however you might interpret or read the card, the first time might be different than the fourth time, if you get it again. And because it might just be, again, if you believe, universe showing you something and trying to tell you something. So like that particular person said, how owl, what stood out. Well, before I share anything, and does anything come to you from an owl, the picture?
No, not necessarily.
Okay. So for that particular person, it was more about birds than necessarily a specific owl. So they were saying how like birds were important to them, reminded them of their father. Their father had passed away. So they were like, anytime I see birds, I just feel, the remembrance of their dad and the connection. And so it was like wholesome for them, or kind of healing in the way of, oh, that's a nice reminder that I feel like I'm still connected to this person who's no longer here on earth. So that can be an interpretation. For some, right, it could be, owls tend to be around at night. So maybe something about like nighttime comes up for them, or I'm pretty sure this is
That's maybe like the one thing that stood out to me.
okay. Yeah. Yeah, like the triangle with the
Yeah, yeah,
with
yeah, yeah.
yeah, anything.
Nothing specific about the owl, just the triangle.
The triangle. Does triangle mean like symbol mean anything to you?
Mm, Not that I can recall, but it is the one thing that stood out from the picture.
Wow. So we'll keep that in mind, because each animal in the deck is related to an element. And so now I'm remembering how when we were talking about walking out in nature, and then I shared with you like, oh, the elements are important, the natural elements of what you're connected to, the earth, the air, the fire, the water, the ether, the spaciousness. And so that might be something for you to consider more than necessarily the owl. And we can read about the element. So when I go into the booklet, that symbol is air. So it's the air element. And when then we go to owl, Well, but first, let me see. What I like about this particular deck is it talks about the interconnectedness of humans and animals. So I'll read air since that's what stood out to you first before I read owl. So air is the creatures of the sky. The air element moves quickly and decisively. They are known to see more than others, and this can lead to powerful and discerning qualities. Air creatures love movement and mobility, but the speed at which they move often leaves them ungrounded. Several air cards indicate too much movement. So that would be if you pick a lot of air over and over, the message would be you're moving too fast or you're moving too much. So then you might want to consider to kind of slow down and ground. And that could be taking more time with earth, like feet on the ground, sitting on the ground, walking slower. Some people describe the air symbol as meaning living in your head rather than being in your body. It's difficult to make good decisions or remember your greater purpose when you lose that groundedness, when you're too flighty in your head. So sometimes air can mean like making an impulsive decision, making reckless decisions, making too many decisions at once, making quick decisions. So, whatever you do, you want to reconnect with the physical realm with Earth. Slow walks in nature will help you get your feet back on the ground.
You got me there, man. You got me there. I will say that there was a lot of key points in there that I definitely resonated with.
Beautiful.
Um, and like I had previously mentioned earlier, those walks definitely have like slowed me down. They bring me back to earth because I feel like I'm always too in my head.
Look at
I'm
that.
I'm always just my mind is always running all the time, and I do often have to find myself taking a step back and realizing that like I have to be present and I have
Yes.
to just like stop being in here so much.
Yes. Yeah. So I mean, I think it's incredible, right? Like the cards help, but it's you and the card working together. And that's why I use this as a therapeutic tool. Because it might not have anything to do with the owl. This stood out to you. And from your intuition, led us to read. I wouldn't have read the air sign like part otherwise. That's really what you needed to know or to just be reminded of because you already said it. Out of all of the strategies or things when I had asked you that question, what do you do when you need to move through a feeling or kind of mellow things out? Out of all the things, you said the walks in nature. And I think this is just really emphasizing and affirming, reminding you like that's really important for listeners, but also for you to continue to use, or if you're not doing that as much, or if you're walking too fast, slowing it down, recognizing when you're caught up here and bringing it back into your whole
That's
presence. Yeah,
it's crazy.
I love
That's
it.
crazy.
I love it. I'll read the owl real fast. So the owl is about abundance, clairvoyance, and treasure. The owl is mysterious and outworldly. The white owl in this particular deck is the companion of the goddess Lakshmi. So a lot of the goddesses are talked about in yoga and from like Buddhism and the religious kind of standpoints. But the goddess Lakshmi represents wealth, beauty, and good fortune. So when the owl card appears, it is an omen or treasure or letting you know that treasure is on its way, whether this could be in spiritual form, emotional form, material form. With owl wisdom on your side, you'll see and know exactly what to do. How what you are already doing will further serve your purpose and bring abundance to the world. Trust in the wellspring of your infinite treasure. Beautiful.
I got this like real emotional
Mm,
kind of like, that's something I actually really needed to hear
mm,
because for so long, specifically with the business, I've been wanting a certain outcome and I've just been waiting, taking my hits and waiting my turn, just going through those motions and that pain and that struggle for a very long time. And this kind of gives me like a sense of relief.
Whoa. Yeah. Let it drop off of you.
Gives me a real sense of relief. That's one of the things I've been struggling with for a while is kind of just being in my head too much and not that I haven't gotten the things that I wanted, because I have,
Sure.
but it just hasn't came in the way that I wanted it to come. I don't know if that makes sense,
It does.
but that's what I'm feeling.
Yes. And thank you so much for sharing. Um, I relate, and it really shows the power of conversations and words and energy and resonance that can come even, virtually through a screen. Um, because I think we need to hear these things as the reminder to trust yourself, and that things don't, even just to listen to yourself too, right? Because things don't always come about in the way that we are even predicting them, even if we're trying not to predict, right? We're saying we don't know the
Yeah,
next three steps, but
yeah,
our
yeah, yeah.
is like, no, but this is going to be the outcome.
Literally, wow. Literally, yes.
But sometimes the outcome is not what it we think we know what we want, and so we're like, this is going to be what it is. For some people it's like having 1 million followers online, or for some people it's making a huge amount of money. But what this card is saying about abundance, right? Abundance isn't always necessarily that. Abundance is
No,
sometimes
definitely not.
this
It's in the
abundant.
simplicity of things, connections,
Yes.
family, friends. It can come in a plethora of ways.
Yes. Yes. And so you can know that all here, and you do, because I heard you say it, but we don't always know it here yet.
Yeah.
That's what we want to transfer to, like, your heart and your body, and even, maybe like the little kid you that's like, I just want that one thing, and why am I not getting it now? Like that instant gratification, and just reminding, that version of you of like, it's patience, it's trust, it's coming. We're going to experience it, and we're going to enjoy the journey along the way.
Wow. That was incredible. That was incredible. That was incredible. It really reminds me how much like the journey really is the destination.
Yes.
It's like these emotions, like this is really what it's about. It's like that the feelings you get.
Yes.
Even if it's like sometimes not the feelings you want to feel, but it's
Hmm.
all a part of it, because once you overcome whatever it is that you want to overcome, you'll be like you'll look back and think, wow, that was like totally worth the effort all the
Yes.
way.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll get there. And we're enjoying it right here, right now.
Yeah. Just being present. That was crazy. That was crazy.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. I do too.
Thank
And
you so much for that.
you're welcome. You're welcome. It's it's a special piece, of what I do, and it's not something that I had a lot of fear initially of utilizing these cards in therapy work, and then even sometimes on here, but I do it anyway because I trust it, and I love it.
I think that's what matters. As
Yes.
long as you trust it and you're asking for consent, I think that's ultimately what matters. So I appreciate that, really. Thank
Thank
you so much, Amanda.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I appreciate you. I'm so glad that we met. I loved our car rides and our continued contact, and whatever we continue to do moving forward, and supporting each other here for you, and appreciative to Lori and to Marla. And we'll keep showing up.
Yeah, that's all we can do. Thank you
Yes.
so much for your time, Amanda. I really appreciate you having me. It was an honor. It's my pleasure.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. So please, for the listeners, you can find Yordi's website. I will leave it in the show notes and in the comments. I'll probably share it on my Instagram page. That's at Amanda on the Flip. You can find me there. My other links will be there as well. Yeah. Any final words, Yordi, before we sign off?
Never stop learning. Never stop learning. That's what I want to leave the listeners with. Never stop learning.
Thank you.
Life is a continuous game of evolving, and it never hurt nobody to learn more. So keep learning.
Yes. Yes. Beautiful. And as we keep learning, we're never done. So we're not trying to race to any finish line, because we're
Literally, yeah.
keep learning, and we're going to enjoy it along the way. So
It's a marathon, not a race.
yes, it is. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you everyone for showing up for yourself and being here with me. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. You amaze me, and I love you.